Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We are talking all things Champions League final here as we are just over 24 hours away from the conclusion of this season's top European competition. We will be looking at both teams to take to the pitch tomorrow. We will be looking at how both teams will likely set up. We will be looking at how both teams may likely line up, and I'll also be throwing in my prediction as well on the game. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's go back to talking about tomorrow's huge Champions League final. The scene or final battleground is set for Portugal. It is in the heart of Porto for the grand stage for the mother of all cup competitions. Taken to the pitch on one side with Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, arguably the favourites going into this game to go on and win this final and lift the trophy when all is said and done. Whilst on the other side of the pitch we have Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, the slight underdogs coming into this encounter, but maybe the Blues can take away something from the fact that Tuchel has got the better of Pep Guardiola twice already during his short spell in charge so far of Chelsea, having beaten City twice already this season. First came in the FA Cup a few weeks ago, and then not long afterwards Tuchel also beat Guardiola and City in the Premier League as well, not long afterwards, as this should have all the makings of a classic and an exciting tactical battle ahead in this all-English final. Chelsea, of course, are looking to add a second Champions League title to the one that they secured back in 2012. Of course, if you remember correctly, that was an incredible night for the Blues. They won their first Champions League trophy in Munich against actually the host of Bayern Munich. It was in Bayern Munich's backyard, and yet Chelsea went into that game as the underdog, similar to how they'll go into this final this season, and still came away with the trophy. Whilst for City, this will be their first Champions League final, and they are looking to make incredible history by winning this competition for the first time, as well as already having secured the Carabao Cup this season along with the Premier League title. This could be an incredible and historic night ahead, and upon reflection, of course, should City win, this could be a phenomenal season in the making for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City should everything go all right on the night and they triumph over the Blues in Porto. It's difficult to tell how City will completely line up for this game, as Pep Guardiola seems spoilt for choice in the majority of positions, as he seems to have a clean bill of health in going into this game. Of course, Ederson will be likely starting in goal, very likely to be starting in goal, barring that nothing happens for him between now and kickoff. Ruben Diaz will start. You think that Kevin De Bruyne will obviously be a starter as well. But beyond them three, there are a lot of selection headaches to be had for Pep Guardiola, but in a slightly good way. Kyle Walker is very likely to start at right back, whilst at left back you could either see João Cancelo or Alexander Zinchenko. Those two look set to battle it out to start in the left back spot, with John Stones heavily likely to partner Ruben Diaz in the heart of the City defence, as he has done throughout most of this season. In the midfield, it seems a bit of a toss of a coin as to who plays centre defence midfielder between Fernandinho and Rodri. Bernardo Silva could be in the centre of the pitch if Pep Guardiola decides to play Kevin De Bruyne as a false number 9, with Ilkay Gundogan looking to start in this fixture as well and round off what has been an amazing season by him in helping City win this trophy. Riyad Mahrez is likely to begin on the right wing, whilst on the opposite flank Phil Foden is likely to start on the left. And then, like I say, up front it's a selection headache. Pep Guardiola could go with either a recognised striker in the form of Gabriel Jesus, or a man who will be playing his final ever game for Manchester City in Sergio Aguero before he leaves this summer. Or he could go with a false number 9, like I say, in Kevin De Bruyne. or even someone else in that aspect. And you know, he's got a lot of selection choices to be made. If he does go with De Bruyne, he will continue on that tradition. He also used De Bruyne in the previous round of this competition against PSG in the semi-final, if you remember. But he could also go with a more recognised striker in Aguero or Jesus. There are a lot of options available to the Spaniard, and that does include, of course, options from the bench should he need them, in the likes of Ferran Torres and Raheem Sterling, who could surprise us all by starting, but it's unlikely that those two in particular will be on the starting 11 for City come kick-off time. For the Blues, though, for the most part, it might be a little more straightforward. Tuchel likes to play 3 at the back with 2 wing-backs, 2 in midfield, and then 3 up front in some form. Edouard Mendy seems to be the number 1 choice in goal, so it's likely that he will be between the sticks come kick-off time. The back 3 we know for sure. We know that Thiago Silva is very much likely to start alongside Antonio Rudiger. And then from there, the third centre-back is a choice between Andreas Christensen, Kurt Zouma, or maybe even Cesar Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta seems the more likely, but if Tuchel does opt to play either Zouma or Christensen for whatever reason, then it's very likely that either Azpilicueta or Reece James will be in that right wing-back spot, whilst on the opposite flank, Tuchel has the option of the more attacking but less reliable defensively Marcos Alonso, or Ben Chilwell, who's a bit more well-rounded but not as attacking-minded as the Spaniard. In the centre of the pitch, world-class midfielder N'Golo Kante should be starting, assuming he's fit, of course, and they'll be looking for another world-class performance from the Frenchman, whilst alongside him it's a toss of a coin again between either Mateo Kovacic or Jorginho, and I'm sure that many Chelsea fans will be leaning more towards the Croatian starting over the former Napoli man. Then the 3 in attack could be any combination of any of the attacking options that Chelsea are very lucky to have at their disposal. Mason Mount seems to be a certainty to start in some form, so whether he'll be appearing on the right, left or centre remains to be seen. But then the other 2 could be any combination. You've got a lot of choices at your disposal. You've got the likes of Hakim Ziyech that can play on the right. You've got Christian Pulisic that can play on either flank. You've got Timo Werner who can play up front as well as on the left wing. Olivier Giroud could be a decent target man, or Kai Havertz. Whatever combination that Tuchel picks, he will certainly have plenty of options to think about in coming off the bench and being a game changer, should of course he need it. If I had to go with a prediction myself, I would probably say that he would start with a German pair of Kai Havertz and Werner, although Christian Pulisic is a very good shout to be in that starting 11 as well. Now, in terms of how the game will go, it's likely that Chelsea will be happy to sacrifice and give up the majority of possession to Manchester City and attempt to hit Pep Guardiola's side on the counter-attack. It's a game plan that worked effectively against Manchester City in their previous encounters this season, but every Blues player will need to be on it for the full 90 minutes and maybe even be prepared to go the extra 30 minutes in extra time should it be needed and should it go into that. The defence needs to be strong, resilient, alert and resolute throughout the entire game. And whilst N'Golo Kante in particular in the midfield, who to be fair to him normally steps up in these types of big games, will need to obviously put in another top quality performance. He normally finds that extra gear in these types of games to really put in a star-studded performance from him. Whilst up front, the front 3, whatever combination that will be, as we previously discussed, will need to be firing on all cylinders. We'll need to make the correct decisions when it comes to making them kind of attacking decisions. And for as frustrating as Timo Werner can be in terms of his finishing, his pace and his movement can cause City problems, and I'm sure that Tuchel will be looking for him to create them kind of problems for the City back line. whilst the fullbacks as well, another key area of the pitch for Chelsea in particular, will need to be bombing up and down them wings constantly throughout the entire game, joining in with the attacks and also being alert of the space that they leave behind them when committing themselves forward for the dangers and the likes of Riyad Mahrez and Phil Foden in particular, should of course they start. As for City, they need to move the ball quickly. They need to break through Chelsea's lines of defence and find some movement in the final third to really break down what has been become to be known as a stubborn Chelsea backline. As I said, City have a number of options available to them of how they can set up in this game, a number of players in different positions, and therefore that opens up a lot of doors for a lot of formations to be used, of City's fluidity in transition, given the type of situation that they find themselves in within a specific time and a specific point within the game. But ultimately, it's down to City to being on it from the first whistle. It's down to City to being right up to it, right off the mark, quick start, try and get that early goal, and they take it from there. And if they are able to beat Chelsea's high press and move the ball forward quickly, exploit the space that are left behind by the wing backs in particular, stretch the defence and find the gaps for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez and Phil Foden to move into, to exploit and hurt the Chelsea defence, then City should have no problem in being victorious in this game and dealing some real damage to Chelsea in the process. Either way, on paper, this should be an excellent tactical battle. I know that previous finals in recent memory haven't gone down that way. They've been a bit of a snooze fest, in all honesty. They're not quite lived up to the hype, the expectation, and I'm talking about all major finals recently in terms of European competition. But this hopefully should be a very interesting, intriguing tactical encounter between two very good and very intricate and detailed managers. But what about a prediction? Well, like I say, City go into this one as favourites, but Tuchel is as a very good a tactical manager who leaves no stone unturned, kind of evens out that element of the game, in my opinion. We've seen this season that underdogs have triumphed throughout this entire campaign, whether it be in the French League with Lille, whether it be in the Spanish League with Atletico Madrid, whether it be Leicester in the FA Cup, and of course Wednesday night saw Villarreal as underdogs manage to defeat Manchester United in the Europa League final. Chelsea could continue that trend here, and to be honest, from my own personal point of view, I'd be slightly happier with the Blues winning over City in this competition. It's not ideal either way for me personally. Like, these aren't two teams that I care about much for. But for me, if I had to choose one or the other, it would be Chelsea winning this competition. That would be my preferred outcome overall. Will it happen? I don't think it will. I could be very much wrong in that, but I think that the desire from Guardiola, the desire from the City players is much more than the desire for Chelsea, and I think they also have a lot more quality in key areas as well. They want this competition a lot more, I think, and I think some way, somehow, City will find a way to beat Chelsea and lift the trophy when the dust has settled. Now, as far as the scoreline goes, I'm going to predict a 2-1 City win. And this may be a little bit of a thrown out there prediction, especially because the guy might not be starting. But I just cannot shake the feeling that it is written in the stars for Sergio Aguero to arguably come off the bench and grab the winning goal. Maybe in extra time. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this season's Champions League competition? What do you make of this final? Who do you see starting for both sides? How do you think the game will go? And more importantly, who do you see lifting the trophy when all is said and done? Come the final whistle, will it be Chelsea winning it for a second time, or will City make incredible history on a season that has been fantastic for them already and win their first Champions League title? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section. I'm sure that will make for interesting reading. Otherwise, Hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.